everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. I'm Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and there's a lot to celebrate this Thanksgiving, Coach. And let's start with the huge performance at the Palace last week, OU dominating Alabama.
Yeah, it was really fun. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, or Thanksgiving week. I'd like to think of it as more than one day.
Amen.
But what a great game. It gives everybody hope. Lets everyone know, too, just, what we're capable of. And we're still not at full strength. So, again, I totally believe and love Brent Venables and what he stands for and the coach he is and the other coaches that are around him. And we showed what we were capable of. We played a clean game. We didn't, we won the turnover battle 3-1, which also adds to time of possession over 10 minutes compared to Alabama. We ran the football 200 and some yards more than they did, which makes such a difference. So, all in all, it was really neat to play a clean, solid football game.
And beating a well-rounded team like Alabama that had been red hot over the last month, coming in with aspirations. And their coaching staff even owned it in the press conference, said, hey, we had a phenomenal week of practice. We knew how good Oklahoma was. We just didn't perform well. And it goes back kind of what you said, Coach, the Sugar Bowl game where no one gave you a chance. And you went out and you dominated every phase of that ball game, and that's what we saw Saturday night.
Well, we're a prideful program overall, but you're right. Back in 13, the Sugar Bowl, we were a 15 or 16-point underdog. Everyone counted us out, and we won by 14, and we were better than that the other day. Just, again, this is a program you don't ever count out, and our guys are prideful. And even regardless of how the season has already gone, they went out and performed and played well and showed everybody what we're capable of. Now, we got to be more consistent with it. I get that. No one's going to, just celebrate one win. That's not how we do it. But it still shows what we're capable of and the hope and the strength of the program.
And again, because of the SEC, they require all of the teams to release who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. Alabama was at full strength. Oklahoma was not. If you watch the ABC broadcast, they were without their first 6 wide receivers, their starting running back, 3 of the starting 5 offensive line, and yet they controlled the line of scrimmage and really dominated this football game.
They played a really solid game all around. Just the offensive line performed well. When you run for 240, 50 yards, whatever it was, that's a heck of a game against Alabama. We held them to around 70 yards rushing. Held the quarterback down all night, which Jalen Milroe has been a problem for everybody. So all of it together, and again, the turnover margin's a big deal. And we drop a touchdown and still had a fumble that, in my opinion, you got to take care of the ball.
Yeah, the 2 things you talked about it that you can control, turnovers and not penalizing yourself. And OU did really well in both of those. And guess what? For the 6th time this year, when they won their turnover battle, they won the football game.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And again, I always say it. I can live with some interceptions. That's a tough position. But when you hold the ball, you need to finish with the football, and that's, we did a better job after the 1 turnover early. And again, I still feel we could be better. You can't drop passes that are right to you. So anyway, all of it together. We still were better than we've been, and it made a difference, and that's how you win a game.
Yeah, and controlling the line of scrimmage, seeing those young freshmen on the offensive line, moving the line of scrimmage, it was great to see. And how about Xavier Robinson?
Yeah.
Remember that, OU fans. This guy is going to be a household name, not just in Norman, Oklahoma, but all over the country.
No, good for him. It's neat. I love it that he and his family, that he wanted to play. Forget about a redshirt year. We're going to finish this year strong, and what a big difference he's making. He's really showing what he's capable of.
I think the whole world really underestimated how passionate this program was going to be on Saturday night, on senior night, when all of these family members, the friends, the people that love those kids came into town for this football game. You knew it was going to be emotional, and OU delivered.
No question. Our fans, thank you. They were incredible. Stadium was packed. They were loud. All of it made a difference. It charged up our team. Our team gave them something to cheer about. All of it together really worked well. But our fans were a big part of that the other night, man, because you wonder, 5-5 team, is everyone last home game senior night? Is everybody going to show up with the passion? And they did.
It was awesome to see. And again, offensive line played really well. Running game looked great. Jackson Arnold played a very, very good football game.
Yeah, good for Jackson. Has had his ups and downs this whole year, but to come out on our last home game, senior night, against a ranked football team, a big name in Alabama, and to play like he did, good for him. God bless him. I love it, and just really happy for him because he's a talented young man.
And Joe John Finley, just his third game of calling plays, he did a fantastic job of being the offensive coordinator last night. I loved everything he did. I loved how he also controlled the clock. When he knew it was time to milk the clock, he did it, and he did it well.
Yeah, no question. Joe John had a great game, play calling, and noticed we ran Jackson Arnold more than usual.
Yes.
And loved it. I just thought overall he did a great job mixing everything up. And and using the clock when we needed to use it.
All right, defensive side of the ball, and I know you love seeing the defensive line get amazing pressure. And Kip Lewis, another Kip 6, not just a pick 6, but a Kip Lewis 6, as he had one against Auburn and, of course, one on Saturday night.
Absolutely. Defense was incredible. In my opinion, that was a game. They totally controlled the quarterback, Jalen Milroe, which is really difficult to do. Great getting turnovers. The Peyton Bowen also, young freshman, huge game. I thought he was fantastic. Kip Lewis, Eli Bowen. Yep. I'm sorry. Yeah, Eli Bowen, and then Kip Lewis with the pick 6. Just defense was incredible. Hold them to 70 yards rushing. I bet that hadn't happened to Alabama. I can't remember. And kept them under 250 yards, I think. I mean, that's incredible to go an entire game the way the defense played. Just really good for Zach Alley and all the defensive coaches too, and Brent. Just really a great defensive game.
And while it was the first time we put together 4 great quarters, we did make some mistakes though. We missed a kick. Obviously, we dropped the touchdown pass. We had the turnover, so it lets you know, boy, oh boy, this team, as well as they played on Saturday night, they could play even better.
No, definitely. Those were 3 big mistakes that that could have really cost us the game, but shows how strong overall we played. That we overcame all of that in a really strong way.
All right, well, the challenges don't go away in the final regular season game of the year because the Sooners are going bowling because of that victory against Alabama. But that final regular game is prime time at night on the SEC network as Oklahoma will be traveling to Baton Rouge to play in Death Valley against LSU.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. LSU at LSU is never easy. I've lived it, and but this is going to give us confidence. It's going to give us more strength. We'll build on this, I really believe. So I believe we'll be a better team walking into LSU, into Baton Rouge, than we were a week ago. And that makes a difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a huge confidence builder. When you beat the team that most people thought was the best team arguably in the country, the way you did on both sides of the ball, at least red hot team in the country in Alabama that put 41 points on Georgia. Remember that. They put 41 points on Georgia. They only put 3 points on Oklahoma. And it's the worst point outage they've had in 20 years. You have to go all the way back to 2004 against South Carolina, the last time they were held to 3 points at Alabama.
Yeah, and we've been playing great defense, and this was another example of that. And I believe that, as everybody says, defense travels, and I believe these guys are going to continue to be hungry, play hard here to the end, and play a great game in Baton Rouge.
All right, so we know that LSU is a good football team. They obviously beat Ole Miss this year. They put some things together. They've also had some games that they gave things away, like USC to start out. We're probably going to see the best LSU team on Saturday night. What do you think the keys are to victory, Coach?
Yeah, like always, turnover margin, big deal. Possession downs, third down offense, third down defense, who can be the best that way. Taking care of the football, and who can run the football the best. Like we did this weekend against Alabama. Makes a big difference in who controls the line of scrimmage. But the turnover margins, third downs, and and then who can run the football, be more physical up front.
All right, so early odds, they can change obviously before game time. LSU favored by around a touchdown. You like the road dog, Oklahoma Sooners.
Well, of course, obviously, always. I think this is going to be a big boost for us of confidence, of playing smarter, playing better football overall, about taking care of the ball, fewer penalties, all of those kind of things, and play a really good, clean game.
All right, let's talk about the final games of the regular season and some good ones. We have the Texas Longhorns at Texas A&M. Texas A&M lost to Auburn, a place where OU won earlier this year. That was a thrilling game going into 4 overtimes.
Yeah, really exciting game. A&M's a good football team. Being at Auburn, that has something to do with it. But I got to give it to Texas. It's hard for me to do, but they're playing really well. And I'd take Texas at A&M. I don't know what the line is. But
don't have it out yet.
Yeah, but doesn't matter. I think Texas is really playing well.
Yeah, I do too, and it's hard for me. It almost makes me vomit in my mouth to think that I would say that Texas is probably going to win that game, but I think they have more talent. But here's the thing, I always say this, my favorite team is the Oklahoma Sooners. My second favorite team is anybody playing the Texas Longhorns. So I'm going with the home team, Texas A&M.
And it is at A&M.
That's right, it's at A&M.
It's a big crowd, and what do they call it, the 12th man?
That's
so,
right.
They got a good shot, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and they are a good team.
Yeah, so I'm rooting for you, A&M. Bounce back in a big way by beating Texas. All right, the game they call the game, Michigan at Ohio State. And let's talk about Ohio State. We said it, that we felt they would handle Indiana, and they did just that last week.
Yeah, overall, they're just more talented by a long shot. So that didn't surprise me the way it all went. We kind of picked it that way. And Indiana finally met somebody that's a good football team or a ranked team or a winning team and had a hard time with it.
Yeah, I love Ohio State at home. And again, they went out in the transfer portal. They spent the money they needed to. They built up this team. They brought in Will Howard. They did all of the things that they needed to do to get to this moment, to beat Michigan, and now they actually get to do it.
And they're 0-3 in the last 3. So
yes.
You think Ohio State isn't chomping at the bit at home for this game? They are. And I'd take Ohio State big in this.
Yeah, I like Ohio State in this game. And again, I just think the talent is going to win over, and they are motivated for this football game. All right, the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss lost a shocker against the Florida Gators, but we felt that would be the way. We felt that Florida would play Ole Miss really, really well, and the Gators came up big, going back to their 5-star freshman quarterback who has been the difference maker since he took over the quarterback position.
Yeah, Lagway, the quarterback for Florida. Playing in the swamp when they're charged up, which they are the last few games, and the Gators have given them something to be charged up about. That's a hard place to play, go and win when they're like that, and we kind of felt that and picked it that way. And anyway, so I'm excited about what they're doing at Florida. But Ole Miss, you're asking about, I still feel they're a really good team, and quarterback, he didn't have such a good game with the Gators. I mean, he threw some really poor balls. I believe they'll bounce back, though, against Mississippi State.
Yeah, I think they're going to bounce back in a big way. They're going to be at home. They're going to be fired up. And man, oh man, they've got that bitter taste in their mouth of what happened against the Florida Gators. I like Ole Miss bouncing back in a big way. All right, Georgia Tech at Georgia. Georgia Tech's look like a good team. They're going to go to a bowl game this year. They're fighting, but I think Georgia's just a lot better football
team.
Definitely.
Georgia Tech has done well. Won a tight game this weekend, and but I'm with you. Georgia, I think overall is still too strong for them, and they're used to playing in this conference, with such difficult schedules. I don't think the ACC is as difficult at all. So I think it'll make a difference, and Georgia will win big.
All right, another game that's going to be fun to watch, the Tennessee Volunteers playing Vandy at Vandy. Vandy lost to LSU in a close one on Saturday night. Vandy's had a good year. Obviously, they beat Alabama earlier this year, which got a lot of attention. This is one of those interesting games because if Tennessee wins, they're probably going to be in the college football playoff. If they don't, they're done.
That's a tough one because it's at Vandy, and they're better than you want them to be. They've had some big wins this year. I'm still going to take Tennessee, but I don't know what the points are yet, but I'd still think it's going to be a heck of a game and a tight game.
I think so too. I think Tennessee is just too talented not to win this game, but I think it'll be closer than the experts think. All right, South Carolina at Clemson. A South Carolina team that most people believe is really in the top 5 in the SEC. They play sound on the defensive line, have one of the best defensive tackles in all of college football, and they're playing at Clemson. Clemson looked really bad against Georgia to start out the year, then rebounded, did well, had struggled 2 weeks ago, but they could potentially get in the college football playoff, but they have to win.
I'm not a big, I just don't think the conference there in the ACC is what it is with some of the others, Big Ten and SEC. So, my opinion, I'm going to go with South Carolina, that they're going to show up, have a big game. Defense has played really strong, and I just think overall their challenges through the year are bigger than Clemson's, and I believe they'll go there and win.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those games. I always say this: if you're a gambler, run from this game, because home Clemson, it's senior day, all the emotion that go into that. Dabo Swinney, sitting there going, we can get in that ACC championship game if we win. We could potentially sneak into the college football playoff if we win the ACC championship. So I just think Clemson at home, whatever it is, if they're an underdog, take the points on that one.
That's a good point.
But
and Dabo's got a great history there. So.
Yeah, all right, a team that played for the national championship last year, the Washington Huskies, are going to be traveling to #1 Oregon in this one. I don't know. Oregon just looks really good. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel's having a Heisman-like season. I think he's going to continue it on Saturday.
I do too. Washington not nearly as strong as they were a year ago. Going to Oregon, Dylan Gabriel and everything they've got going, I don't see that changing. Good for him, Dylan. It's awesome. So anyway, I'd go with Oregon big here.
Yeah, I like the Ducks in that game. All right, Auburn at Alabama, the Iron Bowl. Auburn riding high after that big win against Texas A&M. Alabama not so happy after only scoring 3 points against the Oklahoma Sooners. I like Alabama at home in this game.
I do too, being that it's at home. After this game, losing to OU so poorly, they're going to have something to prove, something to show, a rival game, all of it at home. I think Alabama will beat them soundly.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if it was at Auburn, it would be an interesting game. But I think being in Tuscaloosa, I like the Crimson Tide. All right, Notre Dame at USC. USC has struggled this year, no bones about it. But they are at home. Notre Dame, though, arguably has looked like one of the best teams in the country the last 3 weeks.
Oddly, too, quietly.
Yes.
How is Notre Dame quietly?
It's amazing.
10-1, I believe, right now. They're a heck of a team. I love Marcus Freeman. I don't know him much, but love what he's doing. How everything that he does. I think he's awesome. Doing a great job there, and they've soundly beaten almost everybody.
Yes.
So I'm going to go with Notre Dame to continue it, to playing well. I don't care where the game's at. Notre Dame doesn't care where they play. They show up everywhere. You got to give them that. So anyway, I'm going to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I know that Coach Riley is going to pull every trick out of the hat for that game, but I do. I think Notre Dame's awesome. What they did to Army, an undefeated team.
Right.
I mean, they shut their offense down completely, controlled the line of scrimmage, and they really took it to them.
And you'd say all you want, it's Army. Yeah, I get it, but no one does that to Army.
No.
And they know how to play. Now, it shows the discipline, how to play those option teams. That isn't easy. So I've got mad respect for them defensively, the way they're playing.
All right, Kansas State Wildcats at Iowa State. Iowa State, believe it or not, can still make it into the Big 12 championship, and it is a crazy mathematician to sit down and figure out who's going to be there. But boy, oh boy, this game is huge for both teams.
It is huge. What two good, so similar type teams. Kansas State, I've given them a little too much credit because I know what their history is, and they're good, and they're a hard out, and but losing to Colorado, and they've had some other losses that have surprised me. So I'm going to go with Iowa State. That Rocco Becht quarterback, and being at Iowa State's going to matter, and they're a solid, good football team. So I'd go with Iowa State.
I can't get Kansas State's loss to BYU out of my head.
Right.
I watched that game rarely, and it was not pretty. And I just think Iowa State's going to find a way to get the job done. And you go back to the coaching and the way that Iowa State has come about this season. They've really turned it around and have looked like the team that we thought they would be a few years ago.
Exactly. And, Matt Campbell does a great job as a head coach. All their coaches, John Haycock, the D coordinator, has been incredibly successful. So anyway, I'm with you. I think Iowa State will do a great job.
Well, no matter what you're doing with your family and friends on this Thanksgiving, we hope it's safe and marvelous, and enjoy all this amazing football that you get to enjoy with loved ones. Remember, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link. For Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen, wishing you and your family a happy Thanksgiving.